Hi, so I have decided a few things for the upcoming year, and this didn't really intend to be a resolution type video, but the timing is just kind of coinciding perfectly, so we're gonna roll with it. Because after being sick for all of November, the majority of December was spent just kind of building my strength back up and trying not to have a lung explode from the lingering coughing fits. But here we are, into December, cusp of a new year, a little less fatigued, and only coughing till my esophagus hemorrhages some of the time, rather than all of the time. So things are feeling generally okay enough to entertain some form of hope for the future. Hence the resolution-esque video. So bring on the new year. I thought of 4 little tidbits that I want to share with the class. Number 1, I want to start showing up for myself more. When things are good, they're good. You know, it's smooth sailing. I have no issues. It's easy to get stuff done. But when things turn sideways, I have a tendency to lean into that and just kind of make things worse for myself tenfold, which just like forms this like shit loop, and I just kind of ride that roller coaster for longer than I need to. Also, I'm probably not going to try to threaten myself into changing because that did not work out very well. It just kind of added this weird pressure that didn't really need to be there. And gave the haters something to latch on to. Which, fair enough, the haters were right. But that doesn't mean we can't still try. They need something to hate, right? God forbid they work on themselves and stop being such assholes. Number 2 is food. I really want to start focusing on eating more whole, unprocessed foods. I want to start my own garden, growing my own food. I feel like that would just kind of give me a good relationship to it. Find a bunch of recipes that are healthy but don't compromise flavor. Your girl is a foodie. I put food above all else. Probably above things that it shouldn't be above. But you know, I want to focus on getting enough fiber, more protein in there, and making my gut biome a little less hostile. Number 3 would be not injuring myself. It's such a drag. Like, it's one thing when it's purely accidental, but anytime I sustained a bodily injury to myself, it was user error. All of it could have been prevented. For example, I strained my back while hunching over my crochet work for multiple hours at a time. I don't know, could have been 7. And that put me out of commish for a couple of weeks, which could have been prevented by practicing decent posture, actually getting up, taking breaks, stretching, and not just laser beam focus on trying to make a crochet dinosaur for 7 hours straight. And then there was a foot injury which was brought on by stepping off of a tall workout bench too hard on one foot, where I felt the bottom of my foot kind of like tear. It could have stopped there, could have like went and did like the whole rest ice thingy, but I decided to just David Goggins through and continue my workout, which probably exacerbated the pain and the injury. There's just absolutely no need to be a hero in some of those situations. You know what I mean? Like, read the room. But that one didn't completely take me out. Like, yes, it made walking hard. But luckily, Grace, who's my copilot coach, made a tailored workout plan for me that excluded any kind of weight-bearing workouts, so I could still like get into the gym, work on some arms, do something just to kind of keep me in it while I waited for my foot to rest up. So that's like a super helpful thing. By the way, this video is sponsored by Copilot. If you didn't know, it's a one-on-one personalized fitness solution. You know, it's an actual human person there that you could communicate with, form a bond with, that gives you customized guided workouts that are continuously adapted to suit your goals, schedules, injuries. So pretty good stuff, but I'll talk about them a little bit more later. But that brings us to number 4. I think that going forward, I want to focus on mobility and flexibility. When it comes to what I want to accomplish in the gym, I just don't really see any kind of motivating factor for me when it comes to lifting heavier and heavier. Like, yes, it's awesome building strength and all of that will happen, but it's not my primary goal to like lift 300 pounds or whatever. I don't really see that benefiting me too much in my everyday life. Whereas if I'm working on range of motion and stuff and being able to move better, I see that benefiting me every single day. So I think that's where my priorities are gonna lie. And I was talking to Grace and I was asking her about ways to measure fitness. And we're taking it back to like some triggering middle school era stuff with a fitness test. We came up with like 5 different things that I am going to perform like right now. Like, we're gonna go out and do these things. You know, given a pretty solid base for the start of of the year, and then that's something that we could check in at every 3 to 4 weeks, which is doing two things. One, it's data, love the data, and then me and Grace can like kind of monitor my progress and see how I'm doing, but also two, it's giving you short like check-in points, you know, because 4 weeks is like nothing. All of 2023 felt like nothing. Like, how is it already over? It only really feels like a month since we went through that whole weird 2020 pandemic thing, right? And here we are 3 years later. How? So let's get into the test, into fitnessing. Okay, I'm here at the track. I commandeered Stevie to help me with this one, which is going to be run half of a mile and time it. Not really looking forward to this, probably going to be embarrassing, but it's a good way to test endurance and what's another word?
Stamina.
Stamina. Cardio, endurance, stamina, all good things to have. When Grace suggested this one, she's like, does that sound fun? And I was like, fun is not the right word, Grace. Crazy. But here we are doing it. It's a good test, but I'm looking least forward to it. The beat the frog, eat the frog, whatever that saying is, that's what we're gonna do. Hardest one first.
Seconds.
7 minutes and 43 seconds.
I have 42 because we started different times.
Miserable.
Yeah, running's miserable.
Okay, just got done with my run. Well, not just. I've been sitting here for a while catching my breath. Stevie's timing himself now. I took 7 minutes and 43 seconds to go around the track twice. So that's half a mile. Nothing makes you realize how much running sucks like running. I'm not coughing though, which is surprising because it's 33 degrees outside. And I wore this thing over my mouth just to kind of warm the air up so it didn't hit my lungs full force cold, which helped significantly, but also made me feel like I was suffocating. So there's that. I don't know, just first test down. And I'm glad that I did this first because it sucked the most. And I was dreading it. Oh, there's the coughing. Damn it. So the next hardest thing is a plank hold. Very easy in concept, but not in execution. I'm just gonna be holding a plank for as long as I physically can. And I'll admit that I'm kind of procrastinating right now, but seeing as I still have to do my regular workout after this, I'm really just using the fitness test as a wee bit of a warm-up. And go. I only got about 46 seconds. I faltered a little bit trying to hit the button again. So we're gonna call that 46. I was hoping to get at least a minute on this one, but next item on the agenda. How many push-ups can you do in 1 minute? Except for I'm modifying and doing knee push-ups because I can't do a real push-up. Oh, by the way, these things are great for your knees when it comes to workouts where you have to be like down on the ground or even yoga. I think these are made for yoga actually, but I found them at Walmart. Game changer. Okay, I got 20 there. I don't know how my form looked on camera, but it did not feel like it was proper. I need to work on the push-ups. But now we are on to easier things, and that is stretching. Gonna do 2 stretches. One's a toe touch and the other is to gauge my shoulder flexibility, which I'm thinking I'm not gonna have too much flexibility in my shoulders. Just a hunch based on what I've recently been trying to train as far as like chest openers and working on posture. My shoulders are tight. So let's do them. That's about as far down as I can reach. My belly gets in the way of that one quite a bit. This is my right hand over, and that's as far as I can reach. And then my left hand over. Oh, that one's worse. Significantly. So we need to work on that. Actually, we need to work on pretty much all of it. The only thing I felt like, oh, this is halfway decent, was the toe touch. But those are like the 5 points that I'm going to focus on as far as gauging progress. I'm gonna, of course, do like the body composition stuff too. I need to re-measure and weigh in, but I want to do that closer to like January 1st, just so it's like a whole year thing. I don't know. I did measure in and do pictures and stuff like 2 months ago, but I don't know. It just seems like this is a better starting point rather than that right as soon as a sickness hit. I digress, but let's get this copilot workout in. Grace has been my copilot coach for coming up on 2 years now, and she's definitely helped keep me consistent with working out, which would have not been the case without her because I tend to be very all or nothing. She helps me feel comfortable to do new workouts and confident enough to try to lift a little bit heavier. For example, before I got sick, I was pushing around 25-pound dumbbells, which I did not think that I could do, but I was doing it like it was nothing. And that's because she recognized that the 15s were too easy for me. But she also gives me cues to help me understand proper form and feel safe doing the workouts. Also, not to mention the app itself is awesome because there's examples of how to do the workouts on the screen as you go, along with a timer so you don't have to fumble around and keep track of your rest time and your work time. Wearing a smartwatch also helps your coach see your range of motion and assess difficulty so alterations to your program can be made. But don't worry if you don't have one because it's not a requirement. In fact, Copilot is so flexible that a program can be made regardless of access to a gym, equipment that you have or don't have, or the time that you have to work out. Just let your coach know what you're working with and they can accommodate your situation. Not to mention there's a community aspect so you can add your friends, see how you rank up against them, and earn badges. Kind of making the whole thing a little bit more fun and gamifying it. To get started, all you have to do is answer a few questions and get matched with a coach. And then you do an onboarding call where you share your goals so your coach can make a customized plan for you. After that, you just keep in contact with them through messages. So if you want to take the friction out of working out and get your own personalized fitness program, click my link to get a 14-day free trial and 20% off your first month if you sign up before February 1st. Sitting here, just finished working out, I'm kind of reflecting back on 2023, mainly because there was like a little bar in the Copilot app that's not typically there, and it says 2023 year in review. And I clicked on it and I was like, oh my god, how bad is this gonna be? Because like, when I think back on the year, it's pretty negative. You know what I mean? At least my perception of it. But this says I lifted over 200,000 pounds, over 6,000 minutes exercised, and did 166 workouts, which is pretty good for 365 days out of the year. That's about a solid third. But that was not as bad as I thought I did. Now granted, like my progress has like ebbed and flowed, and where I'm at right now kind of feels like I didn't make any progress because, you know, you get sick or whatever, but that's kind of the thing. You're never just gonna like stay at one level. It's a constant undulation of levels. But I don't know, like I could definitely have made more progress. It just wasn't really fully my main focus. I kept wanting it to be and I kept wanting it to be there, but like there's just other things, and I'm not making any excuses. Like I could have made it my #1 priority, but that was just like not my main focus. There's like 3 main things that I can think of throughout the year that just kind of got in the way. Like the first half of the year, 6 months, I was still going through it anxiety-wise. I didn't really talk about it. I should have probably stepped back from YouTube and taken a hiatus for a while. But if you didn't know, I don't know how you wouldn't know if you're a regular viewer because it's like all I talked about for a while. But in July of 2022, I started having like these weird episodes. They weren't quite panic attacks. They're like disassociation, and I thought I was going crazy, honestly. It was like panic like I had never felt before. And it lasted a solid 3 months. Like it was just hell, okay? Every waking minute of the day for several months straight, I was white knuckling it, just trying to be okay. That's when I ended up moving back in with my mom for a bit, and I didn't want to be alone, and I was scared of everything because my fight or flight or freeze, that mechanism in your brain was just on overdrive. I spent a lot of time researching and trying to figure out why it was happening, and I ultimately come down to the conclusion that I think it was because the guy who was prescribing my meds for ADHD at the time was trying me out on a bunch of different meds, like jacking up the dosage and stuff like every single month over the course of like, I don't know, maybe 6 months. But I think like the medication whiplash and just kind of being someone who's more sensitive to things like that in general, the fact that, you know, I I can't really tolerate alcohol. Like, I take a sip and then my cheeks get rosy and I just can't process it that well. And I have adverse reactions to like a bunch of different things. I think it just jacked with me and I felt like I was going crazy. Anyway, that's all I will say about that. But like at the beginning of 2023, I was still going through it. I still am going through it when it comes to anxiety and stuff and just general fear. Like, for example, I won't even go through a car wash, not only because I'm an animal that doesn't clean their car, but just the feeling like trapped somewhere, even if it's just for like the minute of going through the car wash, terrifies me. And that's something else I'm gonna work on is like, you know, pushing myself. Because like right now, the adverse side effects of that medication are gone. It's just the fear of it happening again, if that makes sense. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm getting so flustered right now, just like talking about this, but yeah, so was struggling at the beginning of the year, wasn't solely focused on meeting goals, was just trying to be okay. But yeah, should have just taken time off and dealt with that. Then in the middle of the year, and it's actually funny because like as part of me trying to push my comfort zone, I started dating again in the middle of the year, and then Steven came into the picture and the whole relationship just kind of went really quickly. So there was like an aspect of me trying to figure out, I don't know, just like meshing our lives together, plus that whole new relationship thing, like we were going out to eat all the time and just I wasn't really concerned about health as much. Me and him both gained weight during that time. I don't know, there was that, but then like at the end of the year, you know, the whole thing where I got injured twice back to back and then the sickness, and then here we are. So yeah, there was definitely things that I could have done to intervene and prioritize my goal a little bit more, but I just didn't. But yeah, I'm feeling optimistic. I don't know if it's like a fool's reaction, but I felt like this time last year I was talking a big game and just kind of go off bravado instead of actually feeling that way. Like a fake it till you make it kind of thing. Sometimes you can't fake it, I guess. I don't know. I'm not gonna give up. I'm gonna lean into the support that I have. I'm lucky enough to have my family and my boyfriend and Grace to help kind of navigate everything, and we'll see how everything goes. And remember, if you want to try Copilot out for yourself, you could click my link and get a 14-day free trial and 20% off your first month if you sign up before February 1st. But other than that, I just wanted to thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you feel inclined, and I will see you on the next one. Bye!